Hey y'all, Grown Black Folks Talk came out by the statue today. Got a couple of quick thoughts, and the statue sort of illustrates what I'm talking about. As I said before, this statue is put up in memory of President McKinley. And there are certain groups of people that are able to put these things up for themselves, and certain groups of people who are not doing as much of that. And there are plenty of reasons why. But with that in mind, what I'm going to do today is the Kanye West edition of Mess Around and Find Out. I'm not here to make fun of Mr. West. I'm not here. There's plenty of people already doing that. I want to illustrate something for us. I want us to understand something. And this goes for black men and by extension for black women also, since if black men are struggling in this area, this means, ladies, that institutionally we also are basically unprotected. So it's important to understand what happened and why it is important to you. First of all, a very basic principle. You cannot be completely dependent on someone and then put your mouth on them. It just doesn't work that way. That's just basics. This is why so many black men have come out online talking about, mad about the economy being what it is as opposed to 1950. Because in 1950, black women had to be financially dependent and therefore were submissive. That's where that comes from. You can't talk about a group of people you have your mouth on. You can't have your mouth on a group of people that you depend on. That's just basic things that we need to just understand about life. So Kanye West is in an industry that if you look at the names of people that control his industry, you find out that some of the facts that he was sharing are not wrong. There are a great number of Jewish people that are in Hollywood, and many of them are in positions of authority. But the thing is, it's like people who get to put up monuments like this and people who don't. The power differential is just too big. The Jewish community has something called the Anti-Defamation League, or ADL. This is a group of people. This is the resolve of a group of men, largely, just by comparison to black men, who have decided that their people are not going to be defamed. If you know the history of the last 90 years, you would understand easily why anything that can be used for anti-Semitic propaganda is going to be shut down pretty quick. The Anti-Defamation League attitude appears to be, if you don't have anything complimentary to say about Jewish people, keep your mouth off of us. And they have done the work to be able to enforce that, whereas black men can't. Okay, now the sun just came out right behind me, so let me fix our picture up here. All right. You cannot do this. The power differential is too big. So that's number one. Don't pick fights you have no way of winning. That's number one. Don't let your ego write you a check that your behind can't cash. Again, the less you mess around, the less you have to find out. Here's the next thing. Also, don't pick a fight when you have dirty hands. Kanye West is 45 years old, meaning that Kanye and his peers are fully responsible for their choice to go put rap together that degrades the black community. Kanye does not have clean hands, and neither do any of his peers. So now, when you go out and go after another group of people because they've done this and they've done that, you don't have clean hands. Because remember, Kanye West also told us slavery is a choice. Which means that if these gentlemen chose to go run down and degrade the black community, that was a choice. They were not enslaved to do this. So don't go out there in a fight you can't win with dirty hands. And you have to look at your power differential. Don't let your ego write you a check your behind can't cash. I don't care how many millions of dollars you have. That's not a fight that's winnable. It's just not. Now, there are appropriate ways and inappropriate ways to discuss issues around what communities benefit from the debasement of black people. But the thing about it is, it makes this conversation so difficult because there's so many black men invested in that. And a reasonable representation of black women also. You know, let's have the conversation about the Boule and the Divine Nine first. Let's do that. Let's have those conversations and deal with the people in-house. Because that's a fight that theoretically we're about even sized. When you go outside and that's a fight you can't win because we depend on so many other people to get ahead in this world. That's just a fact. So Kanye West messed around and found out. And as I say all the time though, and this is why I'm making this statement for this video, the less you mess around, the less you have to find out. Just because it happened to Kanye West doesn't mean it has to happen to you. Alright, like I said, I'm not here to pick on Mr. West. I know his difficulties, his struggles, but they really have nothing to do with this. This is a simple situation where a man's ego led him to think he could mess around. And then he found out. It doesn't have to happen to you. Alright, y'all have a good day now. Goodbye.